My name is Leland, Leland, Wallis, Wallis.
What is your birthday?
February 24th, 1930.
February 24th, 1930. So you were born right 1 year after the Great Depression.
Yes, I was.
But you didn't know because you were so young.
Yes.
What about where you born?
In Freeport, Illinois, Stevenson County.
Right here.
Right here.
And tell me about your family when you were growing up, your parents and your siblings when you were growing up.
Well, my mother and father, they were, the maiden name was Alva DeWall, and she married my father, which is Alfred Wallis, and he came from England in 1917, and he was just a young fellow when he came here from England, and he was naturalized in 1945.
Really?
Yes.
So until then he was a British citizen?
Yeah, he was, yes.
Wow. How about your sibling?
My daughters, you mean?
No, your siblings, your brothers and sisters when you were growing up.
Sisters? Well, I had two half-brothers and one half-sister. My mother was married previously. Her first husband fell off of a roof, killed himself, so she was a widow for a couple years until she met my father. And they had my sister and I, and she's previously passed away. In fact, all my brothers and sisters are all gone. I'm the only one now of the family.
You are the survivor.
I'm the survivor.
Survivor of the family and the Korean War.
Yes.
Wow. Tell me, schools that you through?
I finished high school. I went to grammar.
What high school?
Freeport High School. The one with the pretzels.
Tell me about this Fritzel. Why is it famous here?
Well, I guess way back in 1926, Freeport had a very good football team. They went on to be nation champions. They played some team from Philadelphia and beat them 49-0.
Whoa.
Yes.
And what's that to do with Fritzel?
Freeport?
No, Fritzel. You said.
Oh, I said they won back in there, and it was a nation championship. They were both undefeated teams.
I see.
1925 and 1926. So.
So when did you graduate?
1949.
And let me ask this question. Did you learn from school anything about Korea?
Not a word. We never heard anything about Korea back in then. It was always the foreign, like Germany, France, in that part of the country.
Anything about Asia did you learn?
No.
Not even China?
No.
Not even Japan?
Well, a little bit of Japan, yes.
But you didn't know anything about Korea?
No, because there was no... well, we learned a little bit about the wars, between Japan and United States. That's when, in 1941, that's when the war broke out, And I was just more or less a teenager back then.
And had you imagined that you could be in a country that you never knew before?
No, I had no idea.
What do you think now? You were in Korea. You fought there for the Korean people. What do you think about the whole thing? You didn't know anything about Korea. You were there and you came back, and Korea is now one of the 11th largest economy in the world.
That's what I heard.
So what do you think about the whole thing?
Well, I think it's a great establishment now compared to what it was when I was over there. I never saw that much of the only big city I saw was Seoul and part of Incheon when I came back from Korea. So that was about the only two big cities I saw when I was over there.
So what do you think about this, that you are part of this whole thing?
Oh, I'm very proud. I'm proud to be an American and proud to be serving your country back in them days, and proud that I was one of the guys that helped defend the country, so.
Have you been back to Korea?
No, I haven't.
And do you know what's going on there? How economy
I
is?
talked to my leader of our Korean chapter, and he's been over there twice. He went over there once on his own, and the second time him and his son went over there, which was probably about 2 years ago. And he told me that you just can't imagine Seoul right now, how big it is. They were on the, I forgot what floor they were, about 74th floor over there in a hotel. So he said you just can't imagine.
Yeah, that's what I think our children's and youth need to know from your interview,
Okay,
because this young people doesn't have any idea about what happened.
that's
you know?
true.
Yeah, and they don't know about your service, you know.
Mhm.
So that's why we are doing this.
Okay,
So after your graduation, what did you do?
I worked at Burgess Battery. Well, first of all, before I worked at Burgess, I was learning to be a meat cutter, and that was not my
What
line
is
of work.
Burgess? Could you spell it?
Burgess, it was Burgess, and it was a factory that would made nothing but batteries.
Oh,
And I worked there from 1949 to 1951 when I got drafted. And I didn't go back right away. I spent some time working with my uncle, which was doing moving furniture and that. And finally I got to the point I needed something, other activity, so I went back to Burgess, and I stayed there for a few months, and I got the mumps. I picked them up from my nieces, and I said no way was I going to go back to Burgess, because I figured that I'd put my time in there, so I went to Honeywell, Microswitch Honeywell,
mm-hmm.
and I spent 37 years there.
Wow. So tell me, introduce about Freeport. What are the things that famous here?
Well, Freeport had the Western Newell, which made curtain rods. Hendy Motor Company, when I was growing up, my dad worked there ever since he was about 18 years old. And they made hearse and ambulances. And my dad always told us that if they put out 4 or 5 vehicles a day, that was great. Now look at the economy today, how many vehicles they push out on the road, test driving and all.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a toy factory, which was Structo. They made nothing but all kinds of amusing toys for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And they were in business from early 30s till probably 1950, probably about 1959.
Mm-hmm.
And there was the arcade manufacturing, and they also made a lot of toys. There was quite a few industries, but now they're just down a few factories now in Freeport.
So Honeywell is famous here. And
Yes.
what about the debate between President Lincoln and Douglas?
Oh, that was back in the early days. I don't recall that, but I do hear a lot of that in history. That was held down on Douglas, and it's right next to the Union Dairy, which is famous for their ice cream here
Ice
in
cream,
Freeport.
yes.
And they got the debate going in almost every year. There's a fellow from Freeport dressed up like Abe, and there's another fellow just dressed up just like Douglas, and they're doing the debates every year.
When?
It's usually sometime in May or June, I think it is. They have it, so
Oh.
it'll be coming up.
Coming up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you were drafted, right?
Yes, I
Did
was.
you know that you were going to be drafted?
Yes.
So, how did you know about the breakout of the Korean War at the time when you were working in Burgess?
Oh, when I was working at Burgess?
Yeah.
Well, there was a breakout probably in early 1950s,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't get my notice until January of 1951.
Mm-hmm.
And I went in for a physical in Chicago, Illinois, and it was later in the year, August 14th, 1951, when I got drafted. So then I had to go back into Chicago for another physical. And I was sent to Camp Chaffee, Arkansas, which is now Fort Chaffee, Arkansas. I took 16 weeks of basic training there. And when I got out of there in the fall of 1951, I had a 15 day leave, and I was sent to Korea in January of 1952.
Okay. So you were in the army, right?
Yes.
Yes. What was your MOS at the time?
My MOS was artillery, and I spent biggest share of my time doing artillery work. We had 16 weeks of artillery, or 16 weeks of basic training. 8 weeks was of infantry and 8 weeks of artillery, but most of it was maintained on artillery, where I spent most of my time when I got over in Korea.
Mm. So, where were you shipped from to Korea? When was it? Do you remember the date?
I was shipped from Chicago, and we went to by train to Seattle, Washington. And I spent, at Fort Lewis, I spent 14 days there before my notice said that I was on my way to Japan. We arrived at Tokyo.
When did you leave? When did you leave Seattle?
Seattle,
Fort Lewis.
January of 1952. I don't know the exact date, but it was January, you know.
Must be cold there.
Oh, it was cold.
Mm-hmm.
And raining all the time.
Yeah.
And I spent all the time there. Well, then we landed in Tokyo, Japan. And then from Tokyo, we took a ship to Korea, to Busan. And when we got to Busan, we just couldn't believe the town, because that's where it was all destroyed, I think it was.
Yeah, tell me about it. The Busan that you saw. Detail. People, the buildings, street, housing, everything.
They were all knocked down from that bomb that they had back during the 1945 when they bombed. Well, no, this was in Japan, wasn't it? When they bombed. But it was just destroyed from the North Koreans coming in there, you know. And the houses were all nothing but shacks. And there were huts and that, so I can remember that. And they were all run down. And the people just was in rags and that, you know, they just weren't normal, everyday people, you know. So.
What were you thinking when you saw those completely destroyed Busan?
I just couldn't believe it. It would just hurt my heart to see these people like that, so. Yes.
So you came to know that what you have to deal with from now on,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So what were you thinking that Korea, that you never knew before, and you came from one of the strongest nation in the world?
I thought it was going to be a beautiful city and everything, you know. It was just something that we never could believe what it was like, you know. But then to see what the people talk about today, how much it has improved. So.
And from Busan, where did you go?
We went to. I was shipped to the 199th Field Artillery, and I spent 4 days there.
Where? Where was 199th?
I don't know where it was at. All I know.
But that was not in Busan.
No, it was up in the
north.
North. It was probably across the 38th parallel.
I see.
And anyhow, our orders got this. I don't know, how would you call it? They were changed, and we were supposed to go to the 96th Field Artillery instead of the 196th. So then they sent us back on a deuce and a half, all the way across country again. And I arrived at Pokeri. That was the name of the place that we lived in tents. It was Pokrei, I think that's how they pronounce it, Pokrei, Pokrei.
And it's in the west or east?
Yes, I would say it's somewhere, I would say probably, I don't know my directions over there. I know it was a different direction from from where they called, I was trying to think of this, the town that we had to go over and support.
Iron Triangle?
Well, we supported the Iron Triangle. Old Baldy,
Yeah, Old Baldy.
yeah, we supported that. And I can't remember the other town, the other place was. I spent all but all but 5 days at the same place, Pokrei. We moved back because they were going to have a big push over there by the Old Baldy.
Mm-hmm.
And
So it's so close to Old Baldy, right?
Yeah, yes, we were
okay.
close to Old Baldy.
What was your unit actually?
My
What
unit,
division?
I was the 96th Field Artillery, and I was in Company A, Section 5, Section 5, and I was a corporal.
And where does 96th Field Artillery belong to?
Where do they belong to?
Yeah.
Fort Sill, Oklahoma. And I was a National Guard outfit.
Fort Sill.
Fort Sill, Fort and Sill, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And it was a National Guard outfit, and we replaced a lot of these National Guard people.
So this artillery does not belong to any division?
Well, we supported the 40th, we supported the 25th, we supported the 44th, and we supported I was trying to think, this Turkey outfit. We had a Turkey outfit, was stationed right next to us, and they would go forward, and they were the infantry, and we
Yep.
supported the infantry.
Mm-hmm. And so what was your specific job in artillery?
Everything. I was a cannoneer, where they loaded the projectile on a tripod and shoved it in the howitzer in the chamber, and then sometimes I'd be up there to do the scope, where they would give the message back from the up north, where they had the forward observer, and he would relay the message back, and they would change the quad. We'd have to put it on the quadrant on the scope, and then we let our chief of section, we notify him that there was we were ready, and then he would give us the time to fire the gun, and they'd all wanted the simultaneously the guns to go off all at the same time.
So you did everything?
I did everything. Whatever we wanted to, when we'd fall out, each section had 5 or 6 guys. Because we was in a section, there was 12 guys, we had 6 in this bunker and 6 in another bunker.
So your enemy was Chinese, right? Not North Koreans?
No,
Chinese?
Chinese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell me about the typical day. How, you wake up and then what did you do and how intense the battle was. Tell me about those scenes of battle.
Well, we'd get up in the morning, we'd go up for mess hall, and we'd come back.
What did you eat actually?
Sometimes we had scrambled eggs and potatoes.
Real egg?
No,
Not powder.
they were powdered eggs.
Powder egg.
Powdered milk.
Yeah.
Everything was all powdered, it seemed like. We got used to it. Otherwise, you starve.
I mean, how was it? Not too bad, right?
No, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was bad. It depended on what they fixed, But we had pretty good cooks. And,
But at least you had a hot meal.
yeah, we had a hot meal for.
And regularly.
Yes,
Yeah.
morning, noon, and night. We received cigarettes at the time. I think every other day we'd get a pack of cigarettes, and sometimes we'd go back to our bunker, and we'd have what they call incoming mail, which was the enemy firing at us.
Incoming mail.
That's what we call it, incoming
Yeah, right.
mail.
Yeah.
And we were considered a 4-point zone then because the way they set it up, that if you were in the artillery and you didn't have no enemy rounds coming at you, you were considered a 3-point zone.
Mm-hmm.
But after you were receiving enemy rounds for 5 consecutive days, then you were considered a 4-point zone. So we picked up 4 points quite often.
Quite often.
Yeah.
How close between you and
I was
the
probably
enemy?
about a mile and a half away from the front line. I volunteered one time to go up to OP. That's where the observer is, you know, to give us all this information about where our enemy is located at, and we were firing upon that enemy. I just volunteered to go up there with food for them, and we had to climb up this long mountain till we got there, you know. And it was kind of a scary thing because you never knew when any time enemy was going to fire at you. So.
How was Chinese artillery? Were they good? Were they
I don't know, but
competitive?
they couldn't hit us because I think our area was down in the hole there so much, you know. We had a few rounds come at us, but we was always in our bunker somewhere, you know. So.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had some of these lieutenants that just came from West Point, and they had us out there shining up our tube. And when the sun would hit that tube, it would reflect back to the enemy, and they knew right where we were. And I thought, well, before that it was all camouflage with a paint, you know. But they had us taking the sand and it down so they could actually see that tube out there firing at them, you know.
So that West Point was stupid.
That was stupid. It was, on our part, yes. Yes.
To tell the enemies that where you are.
Yeah, where we are.
And how they can kill you guys.
Well, yeah.
Oh my
Right.
goodness.
Yeah.
Tell me about any dangerous moment where that you could have lost your life.
Well,
Any episode.
I remember one time when I was just coming back from posting my guards. I was a corporal, and I was taking my guards out to the sections where they were to be guarding their posts, you know. And some of this enemy came in with the rounds then, and it hit one guy and kind of wounded him. They sent him to the medic, so it was about the scariest point we've had, you know, that it was just us out moving route, and the enemy, I think, happened to pick us out one by one, you know.
So it's like enemy forward
Yeah,
snipers.
snipers, yes.
Yeah. And you were not wounded at all?
No, I was not wounded.
You were lucky.
I was lucky.
How many episodes like that happened? I mean, infiltration of enemy snipers.
I think that was probably about one time then. And one other time we was just coming back from a movie. We saw a movie down at our service battery, and we came back late at night, and they spotted some enemy going up the hillside, and the snipers, or our snipers, went after them.
I see.
So they had some, well, I think the Turks probably went after them because they were something, them Turks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't mess with them.
No, don't mess with them. And we heard a lot of stories from them. They'd set a fire, and then they would sneak away from that fire, and they would have their bayonets handy, and they'd go up there and nail one of the Koreans, you know, maybe 2 or 3 of them. Yeah.
You mean North Korea now?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the most difficult thing during your service in Korea
The most difficult thing.
that you hated?
Probably coming back on that roadside. That roadside was so narrow, and nothing but holes down here, you know, where you could to fall off the cliff. And when you're in one of them deuce and a halves, if there's a truck coming at you and one of them deuces coming at you, where would you go? You know, you'd have to pull off of one side of the road to let that guy go by, because we were afraid that there'd be an accident and over the hill we'd go, you know.
That narrow?
They were narrow.
Wow.
Yes.
And they
And-
couldn't build the road
No.
for you guys.
No.
Hmm.
So, and then I guess, it didn't happen to me, but after I came back I wrote to a couple fellows that was back there, still back in, and they had to pull out, and they went forward for about 6 days. And I guess as they were going, they had one of these, I can't what they call them. It was a tractor with lugs on it,
Mm-hmm.
and they would pull this howitzer, and I guess it went over the cliff, and they lost it.
Wow.
So that was the most dangerous thing, I guess, that for them guys they have, you know. So.
What about weather there?
Weather was terrible, cold.
How cold?
Oh.
Describe. You know that teachers and the student will listen to you later, okay?
Yes.
Because it's going to be in the internet. So you have to tell like you are lecturing the teachers and students. So
Yes.
describe in detail how cold was it?
I would say 40 below zero. Wind chill was, I don't know what the wind chill was, but 40 below zero. And when I first got over there, we weren't supplied with good clothing. And then they finally gave us some Mickey Mouse boots. They were all lined. And
What is Mickey Mouse boots? I
Well,
know, but explain it
it's,
to.
it was boots that were lined with real thick material, like a
Rubber.
right. Yes.
So you put that on top of your boots, right?
Well, it was a liner.
Liner.
It was a liner inside your boots.
Okay.
That would to keep your feet warmer.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess that's what happened back when they had that the Chosen. Why that was back in 1950, and
Late 1950.
late 1950. We had a few of those guys. One of them I think will probably be here later on. He was one of the survivors of the Chosen.
Yeah, my foundation has more than 100 chosen few veterans interview.
Is that right?
So you can go to internet and you can check it out.
Okay, because we saw that movie Chosen. We showed it 3 times at our local establishment here in Freeport.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Weather was difficult thing. What else?
well, we had a few days of rain and that, and then what little bit of snow we had didn't amount to much because it seemed like it would go away in no time, you know. So, but the winters was cold.
You slept in tent, right?
For let's see, from 1952 to maybe about I'd say maybe June and July of 52, and then from there on we built bunkers because that's when the enemy started throwing shells at us. So
How many people slept in the tent?
see, I think there must have been at least 2, I would say at least 8 of us.
Mm-hmm.
There was probably 16 in a I'm trying to think of the name of the word.
Were there any Korean busboy or Korean people
Oh, yes.
with you?
Oh,
Tell
yes.
me about those.
Oh yeah,
Describe the age and the sex and how they were.
they were all boys, probably under 8 years old. Some of them were, and they come in there and they'd say, "Well, we wash your clothes. We take them down to the creek and we wash your clothes." So I'd give them all my clothes, you know, that they were all dirty, you know, from the weather. And sometimes we'd, well, they'd always charge us, and we'd pay them with the Korean currency because we'd get currency from the Korean, you know.
Really?
Oh yeah, we'd have to change our service. Our money that we'd get would be Korean money.
What you get was American script, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
American script.
And you have to exchange that?
And then we'd exchange it,
Hmm.
and that's what we'd pay these Korean boys.
You did?
Yeah, but see, they do the officers for nothing. But us guys, they sucked us in.
That's not fair.
No.
But they knew enough,
Yeah,
right?
they knew us, yeah.
So that the officers will let them
Yeah.
let them work for you guys,
Right, yeah.
and then they charge you.
They charged us,
Oh, smart.
yeah.
How were they?
Well, they were pretty good. Yeah, they'd be over they'd visit us almost every night. They'd come and sit there, and maybe we'd have beer and have something else to eat, you know, and they'd come along and eat with us, you know. They thought they liked American food better than the Chinese food, I guess they said so.
Korean food.
Korean food, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And then we had Papa San. Papa San was there, and I don't know if he was the father of these kids, but could have been. But that's the only ones we ever saw with Papa San.
what did they do, the Papa-san?
Papa San would help do the cleaning up the officers' quarters. We had to clean our own quarters, you know. We had to maintain them. So
Did you like them?
yeah, they were nice guys.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, they were so.
And then they teach us a lot of Korean, and we teach them English.
Were they able to speak in English?
Oh yes.
Really?
Oh yeah, very fluently.
Huh.
Yeah.
They never been educated.
No, they were never educated. This one, he was like I think he was thinking about going to service, and he would have been a first lieutenant. Because we called him John, and he was ready to go to service. So yeah,
You know,
he was probably the oldest one. He was probably about 18, but they were ranged from ages 8 to 18. So
I mean, there are so many orphans.
oh
They
yeah,
lost their parents. They don't have anything to eat. They don't have a house to
Right.
sleep. They were really,
They
really
were.
miserable.
yes.
Yeah. And think about that now,
Oh
Korea.
yeah,
Oh my goodness, it's a sea change.
it is. Yeah.
So you saw Korea in 1950, all those busboy and completely destroyed Korea,
Yeah.
and the Korea right now,
No. Yeah.
it's uncomparable.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, that is your legacy.
Yes.
That is your legacy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the soft side of your service there. How much were you paid and your rank? You were corporal?
I was corporal. I probably got $108 a month, which wasn't very much. But we couldn't go anywhere.
Exactly. You didn't have anything to spend much, right?
No, no.
So what
Once in a while I'd go to the PX to buy something, you know.
What did you buy?
Oh, I'd buy beer.
Beer.
Yeah.
Okay. And what did you do with the rest of the money?
I'd send it home. I got a $25 war bond and a $50 war bond.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got home in 1953, I cashed all that in and I bought myself a 1951 car. I paid, I think I paid $1,200 cash.
$1,200
Yeah.
out of that bond?
Yeah.
What was the car name? Brand?
The what?
The car?
Oh, it was a 1951 Chevrolet.
Chevrolet? Brand new one?
Well, it was 2 years old.
2 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because it was 1953 I bought it. It was 2 years old when I bought it, which was about 51. So.
Mm-hmm.
Then I drove that for a year, that 51. Then I bought a 54 Impala, brand new.
Wow.
And I paid $2,300 for that.
Did you have any friends at the time when you were in Korea, back here in the United States? Did
yes.
you girlfriend?
Girlfriends?
Yeah. You didn't have any girlfriend?
No.
You were not married?
No.
You didn't have fiance?
No.
So there were no girls?
I was just a single kid. Wasn't even dry behind my ears yet.
Oh my goodness. So whom did you write letter back?
To my folks, my sister. Yeah.
Do you have the letter still have you?
I doubt it.
What did you write about?
Oh, just the conditions over there. That they just couldn't, well, there's things that we couldn't talk about, you know. And I never told them about how serious the war was over there. I just kind of made them feel comfortable, you know, when they read the letter, you know. So it wasn't nothing. Only one thing I did find out after I came back from service, my brother-in-law had passed away, and I had no recollection of him passing away, because the last I saw him was the day he took me down to the troop train to go to Chicago for my physical in 1951. That was the last time I saw him.
So
And
that was your old sister's
my oldest
husband.
sister's husband, yes.
Mhm. Any other story that you want to tell me during your service in Korea? Anything that you still remember, or anything that still bothers you, or?
Oh, well, no, I don't think so. I had some good friends there, you know, and I did maintain talking to, writing a few of them when I came back. Several of them was in around Chicago.
Oh.
And I did meet one fellow after I came back. A fellow that I worked with had bought a place up in Wisconsin, and he was going up through Prairie du Chien. And this fellow that I met overseas, he was from Prairie du Chien. So that morning or that evening when we got up there, before I started loading up his the truck to bring back all of his merchandise, because he bought a place here in Freeport, and I was helping him move all of his furniture back here. Well, we stopped in this tavern in Prairie du Chien, and I consulted this bartender. I says, do you know a Tiny Welch? W-E-L-C-H, Tiny.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, I'll tell you what. He said, he'll be in here in about 5 minutes. I said, really? So we were sitting there drinking our beer, and shortly after that, we finished it, and he come walking down there by me, and I approached him, and I says, how about another round of beer here? And he looked at me, and he says, do I know you? And I said, well, I think so. I says, you and I served in the same outfit over in Korea. And he said, what outfit were you with? And I told him, the 96 Field Artillery. And he said, well, I was a cook over there. I said, yeah, I know it. So he wanted us to stop back on our way back from after we loaded up this vehicle, or all of his furniture. We stopped back there, and we more or less closed that place that night. We stayed there and drinking. And then that was the last I saw him, and I wrote to him several times after that, but we just lost our kind of friendship, I guess.
Wow.
Well, he moved from there to La Crosse.
Tell me about how was it to meet this guy that you were in Korea back here after all those
All
times?
those years, it was amazing. Yeah, I just couldn't believe it. It's the same guy, you know. And he didn't even recognize me right away, you know, until I approached him for that drink when I asked him to give us another round.
Because to him, there are so many soldiers to just
Yes.
distribute the food.
Well, everybody looked alike.
Yeah, but you remember him because he
Yes.
is the cook.
Right, he was a cook. Yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
what a lucky encounter, right? Again.
yes, yeah.
When did you leave Korea?
In 1953, April of 1953. I spent 2 birthdays over there.
Wow, you stayed there very long.
13 months.
Was it 13 months?
Well, it was more than that, because it would have been about 14 months, I
Yeah.
guess.
And when you left Korea, have you thought about the future of Korea to turn out like this?
No, had no idea.
What were you thinking when you left Korea? Was thank God that I'm
Thank
still
God,
one
thank God I'm
piece.
safe. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm home. Yeah.
And you never imagined that Korea would become like this today.
No, have no idea. No. No.
When did you join the Korean War Veterans Association?
In 1997.
Until 1997, you didn't really talk about Korea.
No,
Why?
I don't know.
Huh? Why you didn't talk about the country?
Well, I'll tell you what. Approach. I did have an approach probably back in what year was that? 1989. I was sitting in the. We were sitting in the front room, my wife and I at the time, because she passed away in 2009. Her and I was sitting there, and I said, it'd be nice. I said if we could get together with a reunion of the 96th Field Artillery, and just like that, the phone rang. Here was a guy from Huron, Huron, South Dakota, and he was a Korean War veteran from the same outfit. Only he was in B Company, where I was in A Company, and he was getting members to come to a reunion. And the first reunion was held at Huron, South Dakota. In fact, they had two of them. Every 2 years they'd have a reunion. And I've never been able to go to any of them because my wife has been on the sick list. So ever since then, they've had it at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. They've had it at Wyoming. They've had it out in Washington, D.C. Every 2 years, like I say, they've had these reunions. And I think the next one coming up is in October. But I think I got something else going in that time zone, so I won't be able to attend that one. So I said one of these years, I said I'm going to have to get together and see if I can remember some of these guys that I was served with over there in that outfit, because a lot of them are from around Chicago.
So what do you think about the whole thing? The country you never knew, you fought there, you never thought that Korea turned out like this. Prospering economy, strong democracy, strong ally to the United States.
Yes.
And we don't teach about this in our history.
No, you don't.
So tell me about this. How can we fix this?
How can we fix it?
How can we ask teachers and students to learn more about Korean War and its legacy?
Well, I don't know how to explain that. Try to influence the young kids not to have wars and all that stuff. That we're in a democracy where we all should be united as one, more or less.
Have you been back to Korea?
No.
Do you want to go?
No, I don't know.
Korean government has a program.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, they pay for everything except half of the airfare. So if you have about 700, you can go there and you can look around for a week. Everything will be paid by the Korean government.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to go?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd have to give it some thought.
So thought about it and
Okay.
let me know, right?
All
Because
right.
you have my contact information.
Okay, very good.
And I found that there are so many churches here.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, it's
Oh.
here in Freeport.
Oh, yes. I go to the one right up the street.
Mm.
Well, it's up on Stevenson, the
Mhm.
Bethany. It's right across the street from a cemetery if you come down that way.
I also wrote a book called Gospel,
Okay,
and that's a consolidation of 4 Gospels.
okay.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. And you don't have to go back and forth to compare it.
Okay.
It's all in one.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that's the information.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Doctor.
What do you think about the legacy of the Korean War and your service? What is it?
What is the legacy?
Yeah, your legacy.
I was an honor to be a part of it. Part of defending your country and keeping everything safe here in our country. So
That's it.
that's it.
Any message to Korean people?
Keep up the good work.